Hello, everybody. Welcome to the LadyMo evening show. Hope everyone is doing well. I'm back again. I'm back again. I think this is my third time today that you're seeing me. Third time? Yeah, I think so. Yes. I am excited. So, waiting for some more folks to come on. Welcome, everyone. I don't think I'm on mute. Yes, I'm not. Waiting for people to come on. Welcome to the LadyMo evening show. I know you so maybe I've been on all day, it seems like. But I'm excited about my guests tonight. Excited about my guests coming on tonight. Yes, I am excited. You guys should be too. I'm gonna wait a few more minutes for some folks to come on and begin to share the video. Tell everybody the LadyMo show is on. We have our guests, Darnyelle, Jervy, Harmon. So we're ready to go. Let me make sure I'm sharing my video. Make sure you share it too. Welcome to the LadyMo evening show. Why is it the evening show? Because it's the evening. If I'm in the morning time, it's the morning show. We're talking about having a mindset for success, or having the right mindset for success. Because many of us, our mindset is the problem. Let's see. And I'm sharing as you should be sharing. So I'm getting texts, and it's raining here. I thought we were going to get a real snowstorm, but I guess we're not. So those of you joining us, continue to share the video. Welcome to the LadyMo evening show, and we have our guest speaker tonight. She's supposed to be on last week, and then her puppy passed on, so we gave her that time to spend time with her family. And my daughter is 17, and right now the puppy she changed the food from the puppy, and he's had bowel problems for the last 2 days. So she's just been making him rice, and she's just like her baby. So we thank her for coming back on tonight, and how it's really important that we hear from her and hear what's on her heart and hear what she's been doing in her life to be successful and having the right mindset. So I'm going to bring her on now. So please begin to share the video. Let everybody know the LadyMo show is on, and our special guest tonight is Darnyelle Jervy Harmon, and I'm excited. I'm glad she was able to fit us in her schedule. It was important for us to close out the week of having the right mindset for success with her. So I'm going to bring her on. So you guys say hello, begin to share your video. All right.
Hello.
Hello.
How are you?
Fine. How are you? Thank you so much for coming on.
I'm good. Thank you for having me, and thank you for your flexibility. Last week was really tough. It's still only been a week since we had to say goodbye to Latte. So
how long have you had him?
14 years. I had her
Wow.
since she was 8 weeks old. So
Oh yeah. Yeah.
yeah.
That's right. Yeah. Our first puppy got hit by a car we live on a back road, and I remember a gentleman knocking on our door, and he just had the collar,
Oh.
and the kids started screaming. It was right before Bible study, and they were just it was our first time, so we
Hmm.
had a funeral for the puppy, and we buried him with some horses. So I don't know. My daughter's puppy is getting a little older now, so it's hard
Hmm.
to prepare her for something like that because she doesn't want to talk about it.
Yeah. I mean, I was in denial, like as she started to get like 9 and 10. And I'm like, "Ugh," at this point, she's lived more of her life than she's going to continue to live. And, I remember the vet telling us that she had a life expectancy of 14 to 16 years. And I was just like, 16 years, please. And so she started having seizures in July. Her 14th birthday was in September, and now she's gone. So like 6 months
Wow.
and brain tumor, and it just didn't make sense because she wasn't herself anymore, to be
Hmm.
selfish and keep her here for my own edification.
Yeah.
So it was
Yeah.
time for her to go. So
Yeah.
yeah, so it's sad. Our house is we have this huge house, and it's just me and my husband. So now we're like, it's really quiet in here.
You're gonna have to get another pet in a couple of
Yeah,
months.
well, we're working on getting a baby. That's what we're
Oh,
working on instead. So
okay. Well, that's a lot too. Well, once your baby comes, the house is never going to be the same.
right.
But thank you so much for coming on. I appreciate you. I've read a lot of interesting things about you. But tell me a little bit about, for those who don't know who you are,
Mhm.
tell us a little bit about who you are and what you do would make you so successful, and just a journey.
Yeah, girl, I don't know if we have enough time on this show to do all of that. But anyway, I am Darnielle Jervy Harmon. I am a child of God. I am a believer in people. I'm an edifier, a transformer. I'm a life catalyst. And so in my work, I run a company called Incredible One Enterprises, and we work with six-figure service-based entrepreneurs, and we help them to make the move to $1 million CEO with grace and ease instead of hustle and grind. And I've been in business 13 years. Prior to starting my own company, I worked in corporate America at MBNA for all of the Delawareans that are
Yeah.
watching right now. And then I also did a short stint in Mary Kay Cosmetics as a pink Cadillac sales director here from the state of Delaware. And today, my life is just really all about surrender and living into my significance, knowing who God is, allowing God to be God in my life, and being an example that other people, in seeing me, get to see Him and desire to know Him better. Um, yeah, that's me.
Well, you mentioned an interesting thing because you said you were a child of God, um, but many people want to obtain success without continuing their relationship with God.
Yeah,
How
those
did
people are
you?
dumb. They're dumb. Don't do that.
I know. I mean,
You're
so
dumb.
many
Don't do
people
that.
do it. They get the blessing or they become successful, and then God's not priority. They don't. They talk of God, but not like they know God.
I mean, you can try it and it might work for a while, right? But the Bible makes it very clear only what you do for Him will last. And there's always going to be something missing if you don't have relationship. Now, I will be the first to tell you, and I might make you upset when I say this, but I tell people all the time, I subscribe to the doctrines of Christianity. And so what I mean by that is I am
Yes.
not bound by churchianity and religion and any of those things that got people with God in a box. God is limitless. I know the fullness of God. I experience the fullness of Him. I operate in the fullness of my gifts in the Holy Spirit. And that's the way that I show up in the world. And in my personal opinion, businesses go farther faster when they have a spiritual foundation. And so in my work, we indoctrinate spiritual principles with business growth strategy, which is why our clients see the results that they see and transform every orifice of their lives in a very short period of time.
Hmm. Wow, that's wonderful. Now, for someone perhaps that is not at that six-figure income or status, what would you say to them to encourage them or motivate them to strive to get to that point?
Yeah, I think six figures is a milestone. It's not a stopping point. I think a lot of people think that they want it because six figures as an entrepreneur is different than six figures as an employee. There's a lot more costs
Yeah.
and expenses that you have to think about when you're the person who runs the company. And so I actually say, and I mean no disrespect, but I do mean to shake you, disrupt you, and get you out of your pattern that a six-figure business is small business poverty. It's like food stamps for entrepreneurs to have a six-figure business, right? You're
Mm.
not really getting, you're not really able to see and experience the fullness of what entrepreneurship should be if you're only generating $10,000 a month. You're going to need to be high six towards seven figures to actually really build a business that serves you financially and spiritually. But your question was, if you're just getting started or you're not quite at the six-figure mark, what should you do? And how should you show up? You need to do a couple of different things. First and foremost, get crystal clear about the problem you solve. As an entrepreneur or small business owner, you need to solve a problem, and you need to solve a problem that people can't solve on their own. The reason why people take their clothes to the dry cleaner is because when they are at home washing and ironing, it doesn't come out the same as it does when it goes through the dry cleaner. So you need to solve a problem they can't solve on their own. And if you solve a problem that they can't solve on their own, they being whomever your ideal client or your target market is, then that will allow you to earn more money. And so that's the first thing. The second thing is, don't give up. We all had to start somewhere. I'm sitting here today as $1 million company, but I did not wake up like this. This was not how I came into the marketplace. I came into the marketplace broke and bankrupt. Filed bankruptcy, ramen noodles and peanut butter and jelly. That was what I ate for dinner. I drove a used car, almost living in my car at the start of my journey. But I made some decisions and I decided to learn what I didn't know. You have to forever be a student. We don't know it all. You might be an expert in whatever it is that you do, but there are many things that go as a part of the business building process that you may not know. As I like to say, it's hard to read the label when you're inside the jar. And so you have to be willing to be a student and get the coaching. There is someone out there who's going to be the right coach for you where you are to help to get you to that milestone. And then, once you cross the six-figure mark, holla at your girl and I'll take you to seven figures because that's what I do.
Wow. So do you do coaching for those that are not there, or you just mostly your business?
Yeah, not these days. When I first started, I did work with people who were just starting in the journey, but my clients are at or very close to being at the six-figure mark. And yeah, so for people that are newer in the journey, we do have people that we can refer them to, but that's not who I work with. And the reason why I had to change that, LadyMo, is because I was working with newer entrepreneurs, and what was happening is they were getting overwhelmed and confused and bewildered, and they weren't taking the action because my strategies are just at the next level. And so if you're just getting started, you need somebody who can take you by the hand and walk you step by step through the process. And that's not the way that our programs work. So we're designed for the business that is, they already know who they are. They know what they're doing. They're making good money, but they know that the money that they're making is not the money that they were created to make. And so they're ready to tighten the systems, the strategy, and the support in order to be able to scale to the seven-figure mark.
So prior to you were working in MBNA, did you see this prior to MBNA, or were you just working there, working on your business to become an entrepreneur?
Yeah, no, when I was working at MBNA, I was an employee. Towards the end, I was there for 12 years. So towards the end of my tenure, I did start a Mary Kay Cosmetics business. And then I literally woke up on December the 17th, 2004. And I describe it as a Keith Sweat moment. That's something just wasn't right. I just knew that day that was going to be my last day working for someone else. And I didn't know what I was going to do and how I was going to do and all of that kind of stuff. But I bet on two people. I bet on God and I bet on Darnell Antoinette. And so I was willing to bet on God and me. And when he said move, I moved just like that. And I started, figuring out what it was that I was supposed to be and who I was, what I was supposed to be doing on the earth. And I just decided to take the actions and be obedient in the process. But, just like Joseph, right? Before he made it to the palace, he went down into the pit. I had my own pit experience that was all purposeful to help to make sure that my journey to the palace would be filled with an opportunity to reach back and teach other people some of the success clues that I learned. But yeah, I mean, I was an employee. I didn't know I was an entrepreneur. I don't come from entrepreneurs unless you count drug dealers. I have drug dealers in my family, but my dad worked a job. My mom made ends meet, however she needed to do so for the family. And so entrepreneurship was new for me. But once I realized that there was more inside of me, I just couldn't stay sitting behind someone else's desk. I had to figure out if I had what it took to be an entrepreneur. And I did, stumble and fall along the way. I did end up going back to work for 2 years as I was trying to build my business and get things right, just so I could make sure I had a roof over my head. Because the Bible says in all things be wise. So wisdom was the business isn't paying the bills, then somebody needs to pay them. But and as the old mothers say, I wouldn't take nothing for my journey, because I know it's what brought me here to this place to even be sitting here talking to you and hopefully inspiring some people to get up one more time and do more work in their business.
Yeah, you said two things that I wanted to highlight. You said knowing who you are, and you also talked about when you had that aha moment when you woke up and you said, I'm not going to work for anyone else. And then you begin to do action. Talk to some people who know perhaps what they're supposed to be doing, but don't have the courage, and they're scared to take that risk because they have to pay the bills, which we all do, of course.
Yeah.
But they're miserable. There's so many people that are in society right now that are gifted, but they're miserable. They're working a job or they're in a relationship and they're just not happy. Can you push that button just a little bit on those folks that are listening?
Absolutely. And I don't know if they're going to like what I have to say, but sure. So I would say, first and foremost, God works through faith. And, the Bible says it in all the Gospels, Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, that without faith, it's impossible to please him in their own terminology. God works through faith. And you have to decide, right? Either you are going to be led by fear or you're going to be led by faith, right? And the one thing I can promise you is that if fear is the leader, fear is always going to keep you from what it is that God has for you. I like to talk about a couple of different scriptures, right? So the first one is Genesis 1:26-29. And let us make man in our own image and likeness. Let us give him dominion over the earth and the fullness of the land to subdue it. That might be the Darnielle version, so you can go read the actual version in case I didn't quote it quite right. But the fact is, we were created in God's image and likeness, and we were created to have dominion. And I don't know what your definition of dominion is, but my definition of dominion is not miserable. It is not settling. But one thing I do know for sure is that God will let you live on whatever level you settle for. And so if you've made a decision that you want to settle being miserable behind someone else's desk because a check every 2 weeks is better than legacy for your family, okay, he'll let you live there. Like, God is a gentleman. He's not going to force you into anything, but you need to know that he already mapped out your steps. He already gave you the power to create wealth. He already set you up with everything it is that you need to do it. You just have to have faith and step out knowing that there's going to be a net for you every single time. The one thing I've never done is question. I've never questioned. I know who I am. I know my work ethic. I know what I know. And I always know I'm a survivor. That's just who I am. I thrive. And so when I get together with God and the way God sees me, there's no way I can lose. Romans 8:31 says, if God be for you, who could be against you? Come on. Why would you sit and be miserable, be sitting behind somebody's desk for a couple of dollars when you could be out changing your life, giving your children a different reality? Let me tell a quick story. So I have a client who last year in his business, he did well. I'm not going to front. He did about $700,000, $800,000 last year in his business. This year, he's at $4.2 million. Wow. He just had a son. When we started working together, he and his wife, they were just having a baby. His son, I think, just turned 1 or is about to be 1. That child, as well as his other children, are never going to know the life that he knew as he was growing up, because he was willing to let his faith beat down his fear and take the actions that he needed to take to now have a multiple $1 million business and to be building a $1 million legacy for his family. So we all have to make the decision, right? Who are we going to put our trust in?
Yeah.
I'm not putting my trust in man, because the fact of the matter is this: any company, corporation where you work, as soon as the tide gets tough and they have to decide somebody has to go and it's either you or them, it's always going to be you. Whereas if you have your own business and you're willing to show up the same way you do for your every 2-week paycheck for yourself, then you will never be without. And so it's a decision. And I know it's not a decision for everyone. And I'm not trying to say everybody needs to be an entrepreneur, because those of us who hire employees, I have my own employees, like who would work for us if everybody was supposed to be an entrepreneur? But if you know that you know that you know, like you know your name, that you are supposed to be out there doing the thing, you're doing yourself, and you're not allowing God to be God in your life by allowing fear to keep you in a position that makes you miserable. No, ma'am, no, sir. Not my recommendation anyway.
Wow, that is so powerful, because I think having mentorship is also important, and having someone that has who's perhaps walked the life or experienced where you want to go, and they have the fruit of it. Most people they may know them, but not necessarily know them, meaning having a relationship. But I think it's a lot is caught than taught. I really do believe
absolutely.
by watching, others being an example. But that was really good. I'm sitting here taking notes when you were talking about making a decision. You just got it. You just have to make a decision.
It's just a decision. And the worst thing that could happen is that it didn't work. That's the worst thing that can happen. But the best thing that happens is that it does. And I'm not willing to live with a worst case scenario when the best case scenario is still out there. Like, I'm just not. That's just me, though.
Yeah, I mean, I understand that. Now, wow. So what can we expect from you, as far as I know you have goals, of course, most people do, that are successful, but what can we look forward to? What are you reaching for now?
Yeah, you know what? My goals are really just about, I don't set revenue goals anymore. I set tithing goals. Like, I want to be able to give more. Because that's what you do. Once you get all of the things, I drive the car, I live in the house, I have the shoes and the handbag, and once you get all, it gets old. And so it's like, okay, who can I impact? Whose life can I make better? And so I'm really big into tithing. And tithing wherever I get inspiration. So not just to one ministry, and not just to ministries, right? There's lots of nonprofit organizations out there that need my support more than some of the ministries, right? I was tithing to a very prominent multi-million-dollar ministry earlier this year, and God was like, they don't need your money, but these ministries over here, they do. So I want you to start tithing to them. And so for me, it's just about obedience and giving. Who can I give? I'm blessed to be a blessing. That's what it's really all about. And so, more of that. I want to impact. I want more people to know, experience, and align with God, and leverage that power in order to be an example of all that knowing God yields in every area of your life. Like, that's part of my prayer. I'm like, God, if you use me to be an example, I promise I will tell other people about you. I might be the only Bible or the only church people step into. And if they come into my space, they're going to be transformed and they're going to get to know him, because that's my commitment, because he's just too good for you to be out here trying to do it without him. And again, I'm not talking religionly, or I know that's not a word, but I'm not talking from a religious perspective. I'm talking about connection, relationship, and the principles, right? One of the things that all of the religions have in common are the principles. Yes. And so I'm not trying to be divisive like religion is. I'm trying to be inclusive, because God is for everyone. And so there's an opportunity for you to build your own relationship with him, and from that relationship really walk out everything that it is that he truly has already desired for you, that he decided before you were formed in your mother's womb. And so to not be able to experience, like I think about Love Jones, LadyMo, and there's that scene in Love Jones when Nia Long and Lorenz Tate, Darius and Nina, they get back together and they go out on the proper date. They go stepping, and then they come home at the end, and it's the end of the night, and Nina's walking in with blankets so that Darius can sleep on the couch. And he goes, "What are you doing? We've already done it repeatedly. You don't have to save mine for later. I want mine right now." That's me. I want mine right now. And if having a relationship with God means I get mine right now, then I want mine right now. I'm not trying to get to heaven or whatever comes next. I'm not trying to get there and be walked into a room with all of the gifts that were waiting for me to open, but I didn't get to open them because I wasn't willing to deepen my relationship and connection with God in my own way, getting to know God for myself, studying the word for my own edification instead of taking the words that have come out of some man who is flawed and human and can misinterpret and all of that kind of stuff. And so that's what's really important to me right now, is just continuing to connect and deepen my connection with God, making time for him, making sure that my life is in proper alignment and order, because I know, just as the Bible says, when you seek him first, all things, not some things, not only things on December the 16th, all things shall be added. And so I want all the things that shall be added because I am in right standing and alignment and connection with God.
Wow. So as we close, as 2021 is upon us, what can you say? Because I see you as prophetically as well. Mm-hmm. What is God saying for those that are moving in that vein and they're actually going to step out on faith in 2021? They're starting to prepare now. What is God saying to you to say to the nations about 2021?
Yeah, so thank you. That's so good. And God just dropped two things in my spirit. So the first thing is prepare for rain. So one of my favorite movies is Facing the Giants. If you've never seen it, I highly recommend you go to Amazon and add it to your shopping cart and get it because you need it in your collection. It's like almost like a communion for me. I watch it frequently. So there's a scene in the movie. Now, just to give you a little bit of backdrop, the Coach Taylor, is the coach of the Shiloh Eagles, and they're the bad news bears. Like, they are the worst football team. The parents are upset. The boosters want Coach Taylor out of there. Mr. Bridges is an older man who comes in and prays over the lockers once a week. So one day, Mr. Bridges walks into Coach Taylor's office and says, "Coach Taylor, God is not through with you. You still have an open door here. Until God moves you, you are to bloom where you are planted." Coach Taylor follows Mr. Bridges out and goes, "Mr. Bridges, do you really believe God led you to come and say that to me?" Mr. Bridges says yes. Then Coach Taylor says, "Mr. Bridges, I submit to you that I've been praying, but I'm also struggling, and I just don't see him at work here." Mr. Bridges says, "Grant, there were two farmers. I heard a story once of two farmers. They were both praying for rain, but only one of them went out and prepared their fields for it." I feel the Spirit of the Lord right now. And so what I hear God saying right now is prepare for the rain. Because here's what I need you to know. The rain will not come until you are prepared for it. Because God is not going to have you be in some situation where you will drown and experience a flood because you are not ready. So you got to prepare for rain. That's the first thing that I hear. And then the second thing that God has been speaking to me consistently, and this is my personal mantle for 2021, is I'm thinking about the fact that God is calling. There is a resurgence in the world right now. There's a big opportunity. And this always happens when there's a pandemic or a depression, an economic downturn, if you will. There is a massive opportunity for innovation. There are lots of millionaires that will be born. And so what God has spoken to me is that 2021 is the year to move to millions. And so my personal mantle for the year is to help as many people as I can make the move. And so it's a process, right? So first you got to plan for millions, and then you got to be positioned for millions, and then you can actually move for millions. And so in 2021, I will be hosting a series of events for each of the stages in the process to be able to help people to go along that path to get there. But the biggest thing that I'm hearing right now is just prepare your fields. You ain't seen nothing yet. I think about your eyes haven't seen, your ears haven't heard, neither has it entered into your heart what God has for you. There's so much more coming in this pandemic. It was created to show you who God really is. See, there are some people who lost in this season, but there are way more people who gained. And there's an opportunity for you to gain massively as you draw near to him and do the work of preparation. So prepare for rain.
I'm taking notes. Now, you mentioned that you're having, I don't know if it's a conference or workshops for the process?
Yeah,
Is that
it'll
open?
be a series of events that we'll announce over the course of the year in order to be able to help people to go through the steps. So we'll culminate into a conference. The last part will culminate into a conference, and that'll be the Move to Millions. Yeah.
Is that open to anyone or?
Yeah, everything I do is open to anyone. Anyone
Oh,
can
okay.
come.
Is there a
Just being able
website
to
that we
take
can
the
go
next
in?
step and work with me and my team, you have to be at a certain level for us to offer you the opportunity to come and work with us. But the things that we do that are open to the public, anybody can participate.
And what's your website so we can go to the website?
Yeah, the best place to go right now is probably nextlevel.everything.tv.
Next Level Everything
.tv.
TV. Okay. I'll type that in. You just been fantastic, and I thank you so much for opening up your calendar and your schedule to fit us in, to just drop this encouraging word, and I took notes, so I'm going to go back and listen to it
Awesome.
again, probably 3 or 4 times before I go to bed tonight, so I can internalize it and see what God has in there for me. I know it's all for me, but it was something in particular that you said that I'm going to pray about. But I thank you so much.
You're so
And
very welcome.
and you'll see me soon because I'm
Awesome.
going to be on one of your podcasts. Yes.
Awesome. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it. And, for those of you who will catch this live, who are here live right now, or who will catch this in the replay, prepare for rain.
Yes.
There's a big outpouring coming, and you do not want to miss God when he shows. You don't want to miss
him. Thank you.
You're
Have
so
a good
welcome.
evening.
Take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Oh my God. Wasn't she outstanding? She was outstanding. I am sitting here just shaking. I want to get off because I need to go listen to this again. This was just, I have 1, 2, 3 pages of notes. Prepare for rain. Prepare. I was just telling Dr. Tim last week about 2021, and this falls right in line in what I was discussing with him. So I'm so excited, but I got to go because I need to just go and listen to it again. But I thank you all so much. Come back again in about 30 minutes. We'll have our midweek Bible study with Dr. Tim. He's got an awesome word planned for us. We're in a faith clinic. So, come on now, get your alcohol swab. Let's go. We're going to be in the faith clinic. We're going to get healed inside and out. Our faith is going to be increased. It's going to be, wow. I'm still, I have to go, y'all. I love you guys so much, though. But thank you so much for tuning in to the Lady Mo Evening Show.